Hey, my name is Z, and welcome back to my devlog for my idle collecting game Cart Merchant. In my last video, I mentioned these were the goals that I was going to complete. Wait. There's something I need to confess. You can probably guess because this devlog is coming out a bit later than usual. It's only been the second devlog, and we have hit disaster. I don't want to say we failed to meet our development goals from last time, but it hasn't been a good month for game development. I'll tell you my story at the end of the video, but long story short, I have spent a good chunk of my time playing Death Stranding, to the point where it has consumed my life. But first, let's talk about what did get done for the game. You know how you do a test or exam in school that you didn't properly prepare for? And afterwards, all you can hope for is that the professor gives out half marks and takes pity on your dumbass? I would say we only got partial marks for our previous goals. So our first goal, more art. Right out the gate, we're going for partial marks here. I didn't get as much as I wanted done. Originally, I had planned to have all the items ready for the first location. I've planned out all the items, but no art yet. We do have some art for the first 2 locations that the player can visit. I started out with thinking, where would a capitalistic hoarder first start out? Naturally, the answer is a city dump. So you'll start off in a landfill trying to find and fix up anything of value that you can then sell. Profits are going to be hard, but there's virtually no overhead. A perfect starting area. The next location I planned is a cloud city in the sky. I'm tentatively calling it Cloud District City in my head for now. The idea is to have a strong contrast with the first area that you were in. A city makes sense as the next area because where's all the garbage in the landfill coming from? I'm thinking that the cloud city floats in the sky but dumps all their garbage down below to the ground, and that's how the dump was created. Similar to League of Legends Piltover and Zon, where the elite class rain their crap onto the poor. Our second goal was to create secondary game loops. Once we had our main gameplay loop, I wanted to create some secondary loops so that our game has more depth and isn't so monotonous. The first thing I did was to add the ability to travel. On the left is what the game looked like from the last devlog. On the right is the current version. As you can see, there's a few UI changes and there's a location button now so that the player can choose to go to different places. Once you enter a new location, the background will change and so will the items you're able to find. I'm still working on loot tables for the second location. Once that's done, it will be easy to make up the rest of the regions that will get unlocked as the player progresses. Doing all the art though is a different story. I finally also added the code in for the player rank or the player level. Now it will change as you gain more experience from selling your items. There's a few placeholder rank names for now, so I'll need to figure out the proper ranks later. Oh yeah, there was just one more thing that happened. Existential crisis. I don't know if it was the stress of not having enough done for the game or the lack of sleep because playing Death Stranding was far more important than sleeping, but in the middle of planning out the game, I had this horrible sinking realization that I didn't really have a concrete plan for what I wanted to do with the carts. And that's really important because carts is even in the name of the game. Cue panic, cue self-loathing, cue playing even more Death Stranding to avoid thinking about the problem. When I first started out, I knew I wanted items to have a type, like sword, armor, or potion, but they would also have an element associated with it. Something like fire sword, water armor, shadow potion. Carts would also have elements and can only find items with the matching element. So the fire cart can only find the fire sword, but not the water armor. The scary thing is, this made me realize that I don't know what I'm doing and I'm making shit up as I go. The more I thought about this game loop, the more unhappy I was. It just didn't feel right and it didn't seem fun. So after a lot of thinking, running away from the problem, and more thinking, I think I found a new game loop that feels a lot better to me. So we have items of an element type, carts with an element type, and possibly even more than one type for the late game, but more on that later. And location will have multiple element types. So the idea is you have to match your cart to the location to get items with the same element type. As you unlock more carts, you can go back to previously unlocked locations and find new items there. I'm pretty happy with the solution. It feels more fun and strategic, and there's replayability. Lastly is the save state. I've heard a lot of scary things about creating save states. It's a file that you create so that it can save the player's current progress. You only need 2 functions with this file: the ability to write to it to store data, and a way to read from it and pull the data on the save file. Sounds simple? Far from it. It started off okay. First thing was money, the most important thing. The money counter gets saved every time it changes. When the game loads, it takes the money from the save file and put it in the game. Not bad at all. Experience? Bam, simple. Unlocked locations? Bam, simple. Unlocked carts with all their current upgrades? So you see, in my infinite wisdom, I decided to set up the carts and associated upgrades in a really convoluted system for the sake of efficiency. Instead of taking one value and plonking it into the save file, I had wrapped up the cart stats in layers upon layers of lists and dictionaries and arrays. Now it's incredibly hard to unwrap all those layers to get the value that I want to put it in my save state. So this is something I'm gonna have to work on. While I'm trying to figure it out, I also have my best minds working on this problem. But otherwise, everything is pretty much done for the save state for the game so far, except for the storage, which is gonna be a big one, and the cart upgrades and cart collecting. So where to go on from here? I'm already a little bit into April, and it's gonna be a really busy month for me for some personal reasons, so I'm going to keep my goals small and realistic. The first thing is I want to finish the art that I had planned. This should be relatively fast as long as I'm not too much of a perfectionist. I really want to get the art in there so I can start playing around with the different locations. Second goal is to fix bugs. It feels like every time I make a change or add something new to the game, either new bugs crop up or I find out there were existing bugs from before. They have become a never-ending pile of work to do. I don't want to leave it until it grows to be insurmountable. I think I have to deal with it and cut down this pile a little bit before it gets too out of control. I also want to reduce some of the redundancy that I have right now. And lastly, I'm going to get the storage added to the save state so that your items that you've collected will be stored. I'm not too worried about the backpack or the temporary inventory right now because that can probably be calculated when the game opens. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the devlog. I did a pretty horrendous job trying to keep track of my time this month, so I don't really have too much to show. And now, onto the story of how I utterly lost myself to Death Stranding. To fully understand the story, we have to go back 3 or 4 years ago, before the pandemic happened. Back then, my graphics card was already pretty old, and I kept thinking to myself, I really should upgrade my graphics card. It was the bottleneck for the rest of my PC build. But I kept putting it off, I kept delaying. I'm like, oh, there might be a better deal around Christmas, or there might be a better deal in the New Year's. And then the pandemic hit. Everything got shut down, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency boomed, and suddenly graphics cards evaporated, and you couldn't find one anywhere. I had completely given up on buying a graphics card and upgrading my computer until this month. My baby brother had graduated university and was putting together his first build for his computer. He messaged me early in the month telling me he got really lucky and managed to snag a really good graphics card. He knew that I was in need of a graphics card, so he offered to sell me his old one, which was actually pretty good, way better than the one that I had currently. So naturally, I accepted, got my new graphics card, put it into my computer, super happy. A little bit before this, I also upgraded my monitor so that it has better color, response time, frames per second. You could probably see where this is going. Now with my new monitor and my shiny new graphics card, I decided, why not start a new game that I've been meaning to play for a long time? I go through my library of untouched games and I realize, hey, I haven't played Death Stranding. And this was a game that I followed since the moment the trailers came out at E3. I was really excited to play the game. And let me tell you, the game looks so amazing. HDR settings on, full graphics, it's gorgeous. It is a feast for the eyes. A lot of people laugh about how it's a walking simulator, but I don't know, something about this game touches me in a way no game has before. I enjoy walking to place, carrying my parcels and delivering the packages. There's a lot of weird little features in the game that doesn't actually need to be in the game, but it's there. For example, needing to drink water for endurance, peeing because you drank a lot of water, showering, going to the toilet for number 1 and number 2, because that is important. And then there's the batshit crazy stuff about the game, like there's these ghosties that you can't really see. Oh yeah, you have a baby with you, but it's not really a baby. Also, the baby can help you see the ghosties, but not very well, because your baby is a little bit broken. I got carjacked by ghosts. Oh, and you can get rid of the ghosties by peeing on them or throwing your blood at them. There are people in the sky, and I'm not really sure what that's about either. I don't know, this game just makes me so happy in a way I can't quite describe. On the downside, I am neglecting my own game for a little bit, but I just couldn't help it. I'm having so much fun being a post-apocalyptic delivery man. And it's really hard to describe the game because I don't even know what's going on half the time. Some of my friends who have already played the game are getting frustrated with me because they're like, you have to go forward in the story more. There's some really cool shit that's about to go down. And I'm just like, I'm happy building my roads, maxing out the cities that I visit. Anyways, I think I've gone on long enough about Death Stranding and my problems. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. I noticed that a lot of my viewers aren't subscribed to me. If we could reach 50 subscribers, I could finally get a unique URL for my channel, which would make me so happy. So please subscribe if you can, and I'll see you guys in the next video.